I was the shadow in every success story, the strategist behind every campaign that broke records. But to Daniel, I was just Layla, the assistant, the note-taker, the one who brought coffee. I watched him climb the ladder I built, smiling for the cameras with words I wrote. Every pitch, every proposal, it was mine. But the praise? Always his. He'd flash his smug grin and say, "We're a team." No one noticed how I flinched when he spoke. No one saw me bleed behind the numbers. But he made one mistake. One line he should have never crossed. He called me replaceable. It was a Friday morning when he said it. His voice was light, almost bored, like it was nothing. "You know, Layla, we need to talk succession. Can't rely on the same people forever." I stared at him. He didn't flinch, just tapped his pen against his mug, eyes already on the intern hovering outside. I realized then he was grooming someone to take my place. Someone louder, easier to control. She laughed at his jokes. I used to once, until I realized he didn't respect laughter. He respected silence. And mine had been deadly quiet for far too long. He didn't ask me to train her. He ordered it. Sent a calendar invite titled Transition Knowledge Session. I clicked accept without blinking. That was the thing about men like Daniel. They never questioned obedience. He assumed I'd fall in line, just like I had for years. But this time, my smile wasn't submission. It was strategy. I opened my personal Google Drive, labeled a folder, Insurance. Inside it, 3 years of emails, version history, file metadata, and voice memos. Every time he forwarded my work with his name on it. Every lie, every theft. I didn't just remember. I documented. Over the next week, I played the role perfectly. I laughed with the intern, walked her through systems, shared insights that made Daniel look brilliant. She was bubbly, naive, thought I was being replaced because I was moving on. She didn't realize I was setting the stage for him. I watched Daniel get cockier. He held meetings without me, threw out my name in past tense. Layla used to handle that. I'd nod, pretending not to hear. But I heard everything, and I recorded the rest. When he gave her my seat in the boardroom, I said thank you. He smirked. That Thursday, he made a show of it. Called me into his office, with the intern already seated beside him. "We've been talking," he said, "and we think this is a good time for you to explore new opportunities." He handed me a severance package already signed. It was light, insulting. I didn't flinch, just picked it up, stood, and smiled. "You're right. It is a good time." He leaned back, smug. "See? No hard feelings." I paused at the door. "Oh, one more thing," I said, reaching into my bag. I pulled out a sealed envelope. "This is for you." He opened it while I walked out. I didn't look back, but I knew the exact moment he reached the second paragraph. Knew it by the sudden silence that swept through the floor, by the way his office door shut a little too hard behind me. The intern looked confused. I didn't stop to explain. I walked past my desk, past HR, and out the glass doors. My resignation letter was clean, respectful. But the second letter, the one he opened, was the weapon. Inside it, everything he'd taken. And proof. Attachments labeled, cross-referenced, and time-stamped. No denials. No spin. Just facts. The envelope also contained the names of 5 board members blind copied on the same email. Legal was copied too. I didn't just quit, I detonated. By the time I reached the lobby, Daniel was already calling my phone. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. I sat in my car, calm, waiting. It took 32 minutes. That's when I saw security enter the building. That's when the intern called me, her voice shaking. "Layla, what did you do?" I said nothing. Just ended the call. Because Daniel wasn't the only one who could hand over keys. I had just taken the door off its hinges. In the hours that followed, I received 8 emails from upper leadership, all asking if I'd be open to a conversation. Some offering apologies, others offering opportunities. I ignored every single one. They let him wear my work like a crown for years. Let him stomp my name into silence. Now, they wanted to talk. Too late. I already had another meeting lined up with their biggest competitor. And I wasn't going there to interview. I was going to sign. Daniel's downfall wasn't personal. It was overdue. His kingdom was crumbling, and I didn't need to swing. I just pulled one brick. People say revenge is sweet. That's wrong. It's silent. It walks in heels, wears a smile, and speaks last. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't explain. I let my records speak for themselves. Daniel built an empire on my back, thinking I'd never fight back. And maybe I wouldn't have if he hadn't looked me in the eye and said those words. You're replaceable. That's what triggered it. Not the years of theft. Not the credit he stole. It was his arrogance. His belief that I'd just fade. I didn't fade. I exploded. Daniel thought the worst was over. He underestimated the delay. That's the thing about timing. Some bombs don't explode on impact. They tick. Quietly. Strategically. My letter didn't just expose him. It started a trail. One the board was too curious to ignore. And once they started digging, the timestamps did the rest. Emails backdated, edits overwritten, financials with gaps only I could explain. They needed answers. But Daniel had already fired the only person who had them. Me. The intern? She knew shortcuts, not systems. The empire was burning, and he had no blueprint. Only lies. Each with a clock. 2 days after I walked out, I got the first message from Nadine, the board chair. It was polite, rehearsed. Layla, we'd value a confidential conversation. I didn't respond. Not yet. Let it simmer. Daniel spent years building a house of mirrors with my hands. Now he was trapped inside it, alone. I waited exactly 48 hours. Then I sent back a one-liner. Let me know when you're ready for the truth. Her reply came within minutes. She wanted to meet in person. I picked the venue. A rooftop restaurant where Daniel once told me, no one cares how the sausage is made. Nadine arrived with a folder in her bag, but I could tell. She already knew. Her eyes carried doubt. And fear. She ordered water, but didn't touch it. Layla, she said, we reviewed your documentation. It was thorough. I nodded. I didn't come for flattery. You knew, I said calmly. Maybe not all of it, but enough. Her lips tightened. She didn't deny it. I reached into my purse and placed a flash drive on the table. What's that? She asked. I smiled. Part 2. She hesitated. Daniel will deny it. I leaned in. He won't get the chance. Press play. On that flash drive was an audio file. 2 minutes, 24 seconds. Daniel bragging during a late-night Zoom to another exec. I let her run wild. She does the work, I take the credit. She's a workhorse, not a threat. His voice was smug. Predictable. The executive laughed. Won't she notice? Daniel's answer. Even if she does, who's she gonna tell? She's just an assistant. Nadine's hands trembled slightly as she removed her glasses. How long have you had this? I met her eyes. Since that night. I kept receipts because I knew one day he'd hang himself. I just had to hand him the rope. By Monday, the board called an emergency session. Daniel wasn't invited. The flash drive did its job. But I wasn't done. I wanted a public collapse. Not just whispers in boardrooms. I reached out to 3 former clients, big names. Clients who assumed Daniel was the genius behind the campaigns. I sent them side-by-side versions. His and mine. Watermarked. Timestamped. Annotated. I think you should know who you were really working with. Within 24 hours, 2 pulled their contracts. 1 posted a cryptic LinkedIn update. Sometimes the wizard is just the curtain. It went viral. So did the receipts. Daniel's downfall wasn't loud. It was surgical. Every lie he told had a date. Every claim he made had a ghost me. He tried to recover, called it a miscommunication. But the intern broke first. She emailed HR in a panic. Said she was told to copy documents, to mirror my old files. HR panicked. Legal got involved. Nadine sent a final email. Layla, we are considering restructuring. Would you be open to discussing your future with us? I didn't reply. I had already found my future. And it didn't include rebuilding what I already burned. I was building something bigger. On Thursday, I posted one sentence on LinkedIn. Sometimes your exit is your entrance. No names. No drama. But the comments told the story. My inbox flooded. Recruiters, CEOs, even old mentors who had once warned me that silence would cost me. It hadn't. It paid off. Daniel's face vanished from the company's website within a week, replaced with a statement, "Leadership transition in progress." No thank you. No farewell post. Just a quiet deletion. That's how legacies end when they're built on lies. They're not torn down. They dissolve, line by line, timestamp by timestamp. Someone once asked me why I never confronted him, why I didn't scream in that boardroom or slam the door on my way out. Simple. Screaming is for people who don't have proof. I had it all. He gave it to me every time he forwarded my work. Every time he CC'd a client with his name above mine. Every meeting he started with "Layla, you want to jump in?" then spoke over me. Every dismissal. Every insult masked as mentorship. I didn't need vengeance. I needed a calendar. And I had one. With every receipt filed, every betrayal dated. Daniel's replacement, the intern, lasted 3 weeks. She emailed me once, said she didn't know, that she felt used. I didn't respond. Not out of spite, but because she wasn't the story. She was a pawn in his ego, just like I had been once. But unlike her, I got out with everything. My files. My truth. My power. Daniel didn't know it, but when he told me I was replaceable, he started the clock. And I let it tick. Quietly. Until the final second hit. Then I watched him shatter, piece by piece. Alone. Unprepared. Exposed. When Daniel replaced me, he thought it was game over. But it wasn't. It was game change. He didn't hire talent. He hired a shield. A clueless, wide-eyed intern to cover his tracks while he fumbled behind the scenes. And she thought she'd won. Took selfies in my old office chair. Changed the nameplate. Posted first day as strategy lead on LinkedIn. I screenshotted it all. Not out of jealousy. Out of precision. Because while she posed with iced lattes, I was meeting with her future clients. Quietly. Carefully. Every campaign I once built under Daniel, I was about to reclaim it. My first target was Varelli Tech, our biggest client. The one whose brand I'd personally reshaped after their product recall scandal. I had the decks, the rollout strategy, and the CEO's direct line. I requested a meeting. Informal, I said. Just coffee. Nothing serious. I wore the same blue blazer I'd worn to the pitch Daniel took credit for. The CEO remembered me instantly. "Didn't you leave?" he asked. I smiled. "No," I said. I started. I walked him through a new campaign idea. Smarter. Sharper. His eyes lit up. "This is what we paid for," he muttered. I nodded. Exactly. He didn't sign on the spot. But the seed was planted. I didn't ask for a decision. Just attention. And attention shifted quickly. Especially when I sent over a portfolio, clean, rebranded, and with every file dated and timestamped. 1 week later, Varelli ghosted Daniel's firm. Radio silence. Meanwhile, I was having lunch with one of their VPs, outlining a quarterly rollout. Word travels fast in corporate circles. My inbox began to fill. Former clients. Former allies. Even former interns. "He's unraveling," one messaged. "The new girl can't handle the load. She's asking interns to write proposals." I didn't laugh. I documented. The intern, Chloe, began messaging me. At first, it was subtle. "Hey, just wondering what template you used for Q3 projections." I didn't reply. Then she got bolder. "Do you mind sharing the lead funnel doc? Daniel said you had a system." A system? I was the system. Still, I said nothing. Because saying nothing does more damage than a response. Silence makes people sweat. Chloe posted a story that same night, her laptop surrounded by crumpled papers, captioned, "Working late but loving it." I smiled. She wasn't working late. She was drowning. And Daniel? He was nowhere to be found. 2 weeks in, Varelli officially cut ties with the firm. No warning, just a polite email. We've decided to explore other creative directions. Daniel panicked. Blamed Chloe. Blamed the economy. Blamed the post-pandemic market. But the truth was simpler. They left because I left. They stayed because of me, and he only realized that when they were already gone. Chloe looked shell-shocked in the meeting screenshot someone sent me. Daniel had his arms crossed. She had tears in her eyes. I zoomed in. My old mug, still on the shelf behind her. I guess they couldn't replace everything. With Varelli gone, the dominoes started to fall. 2 more clients followed. Then a lawsuit. One of the campaigns Chloe presented had my exact slide structure. She didn't even change the footer. I had proof. So did the Copyright Office. I filed an infringement claim, not out of spite, but out of principle. Daniel tried to settle quietly. Sent an offer through a third party. I declined. Let it go to court. Let it go public. I wasn't just reclaiming my name. I was building something that would outlive his little empire. One lie at a time. Daniel showed up at my new office 2 months later. Not scheduled. No warning. Just a Layla, please, at the front desk. I almost didn't see him, but I was curious. I let him in. He looked smaller, grayer, less sure of himself. We were good together, he said. We built something. I raised an eyebrow. We. He sighed. Look, Chloe's quitting. Clients are gone. Maybe we partner. I almost laughed. He wanted me to rebuild what he broke. With him. I already have a partner, I said. You remember Damara? The one you said wasn't client-facing enough? He paled. Good. Tamara and I had already launched our own firm. Quietly. Efficiently. And with every client Daniel lost, we gained one. Word got out that the real brains behind the old campaigns were back, with better execution and none of the ego. We didn't need to poach. They came willingly. Chloe eventually left too. I heard she went into fitness coaching. She posted a quote the other day. Protect your peace. Don't get used. It had 200 likes. I didn't comment. Didn't need to. I'd taken the whole company, every client, every contact, every idea he thought he'd buried with my exit. And I never went back to that firm. Not once. I didn't need revenge served cold. I served it calculated. Publicly. Silently. While he scrambled to fix the mess he created, I built my future from the same blocks he used to step over me. Now, I don't just run campaigns. I own the agency. And every time a new client signs on, I send them a welcome gift. A blue mug. Same as the one Chloe couldn't throw away. It's not a trophy. It's a reminder. Daniel thought silence was power. That if they ignored my exit, it would erase me. That if they didn't mention my name in board meetings or group emails, I'd vanish into irrelevance. But silence only amplified the echo of my success. Clients whispered. Colleagues watched. And suddenly, Layla was the name dropped in every meeting they couldn't control. Have you seen what she's doing? Did you hear who signed with her? Every campaign I launched was a bulletproof billboard. Not petty. Not loud. Just unignorable. I didn't need revenge headlines. I was the headline. I spoke at the Varelli Annual Summit. A full circle moment. The same CEO who once thanked Daniel publicly now introduced me as the strategist who redefined our market. They gave me the main stage. Spotlight. Standing ovation. I wore white. No jewelry. Just presence. People lined up afterward, not for photos, but for contracts. Even execs from my old firm were in the back row. Watching. Clapping. Silently dying inside. One even DM'd me. So proud of how far you've come. I didn't reply. My silence was louder than any speech they could write. Daniel tried to rebrand his firm. New logo. New slogan. Built on trust. I almost choked on my tea. The same man who forged numbers and threw interns into fire drills was suddenly a brand guru? Clients didn't buy it. Neither did the press. And when the lawsuit I filed made headlines, they couldn't ignore me anymore. Former strategist sues for credit and wins. It wasn't about the money. It was about the record. About proving I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't emotional. I was right. And now the world saw it, in black and white. The more they tried to outmarket me, the more they failed. Because I wasn't playing for visibility. I was playing for legacy. My firm didn't have influencers or gimmicks. We had results. We had receipts. We had heart. While Daniel hosted webinars, I hosted workshops. Real talks. Real women. Real founders. And the stories they brought? Same pattern. Dismissed. Undermined. Replaced. Until they rose. My name became a rally cry. If Layla can rebuild after that, so can I. I didn't plan to be an icon, but they forced me to be one. By trying to erase me, they immortalized me. At a private gala, one of the industry's biggest investors approached me. "I passed on your pitch 2 years ago," he said. "Biggest mistake of my career." I smiled, not with bitterness, but with power. "You couldn't see it then," I said. "It's brighter now." He offered to fund expansion. Tomorrow, and I didn't even hesitate. We took it, hired new staff, built out 2 more teams. And every hire was someone like us. Overlooked, overqualified, underestimated. We didn't just open the door. We tore down the whole wall. And the echo was deafening. I started getting invites to panels. Not just about business, but resilience. "How did you recover?" they'd ask. I'd smile. I didn't recover. I outgrew. I became the loudest voice in rooms that once muted me. Not because I yelled, but because every word now carried weight. Even Daniel's old allies started switching sides. Quietly, at first. A referral here. A tip there. Then full-blown resumes in my inbox. "If you ever expand," they'd write. I never forgot how they looked away when I packed my box. Now, they wanted to sit at my table. I served them a chair, but cold. Then came the article. A glowing piece in Women in Power. The headline? "The woman they tried to replace is now irreplaceable." My photo. Full page. Me standing in front of our new office. Arms crossed. No smile. Just truth. I sent a framed copy to Daniel's office. No note. Just the article. Weeks later, someone sent me a photo. It was ripped in half. Tossed in a bin. Right on top of a resignation letter. Chloe's, apparently. Another intern turned scapegoat. He'd done it again. Different girl. Same mess. I didn't feel sorry for him. He wasn't falling. He was rotting. On the anniversary of my firing, I hosted an event. Not for revenge, but for recognition. Every woman who'd ever been told she was too ambitious, too difficult, not a team player, they were all invited. It wasn't a party. It was a statement. We called it the loud table, because we weren't just reclaiming space. We were making noise. The kind that echoes in boardrooms and breaks ceilings. And when I gave my closing remarks, I said just one thing. They tried to erase me. Now my name's in rooms they'll never enter. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. My story wasn't a secret anymore. It was a signal. Daniel tried to sue me for defamation. Said I'd ruined his brand. Said I'd lied. My lawyer replied with one sentence. "Truth is a defense." The case didn't make it to court. He withdrew. Quietly. As always. But this time, silence didn't save him. It drowned him. His LinkedIn changed to consultant. No firm. No staff. Just empty buzzwords. Meanwhile, I was featured in a Fortune article about women flipping power dynamics. Every lie he told became a stone I built with. Now I don't just lead campaigns. I lead movements. Daniel's company was crumbling, but the man still had ego. One last stunt. One last reach. He sent a message through a mutual contact. "Let's talk." Over lunch. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. I knew what he wanted. His biggest client had jumped ship, to me. His pipeline was empty. His team had fled. Now he was circling back, like a scavenger around the empire he once tried to bury. I didn't reply, but I did pick the restaurant. Same one he took me to when he made me train my replacement. He walked in late, of course. still in his overpriced jacket, hair too perfect, smile rehearsed. He extended his hand like we were old friends. I didn't take it. Just stared. He ordered wine. I ordered truth. You said I was replaceable, I said. So, what do you want from me now? He chuckled nervously. Let's not get into the past. But I was already there. Deep in it. Every time he mocked my suggestions. Every time he silenced me in meetings. Every time he whispered, "She's not leadership material." That past had interest. And now he owed. He began his pitch. Said he wanted to collaborate. Maybe even merge. We could do great things together, he said. You've grown fast, but I have decades of experience. I nearly spit out my drink. This man still thought he was the prize. I let him finish, out of morbid curiosity. And when he asked what I thought, I leaned forward. You couldn't afford me, I said. Not with money. Not with apologies. Not with your LinkedIn praise. His face twitched. Just for a second. Then the mask returned. You're making a mistake, he said. I smiled. You already did. I didn't make a scene. I didn't raise my voice. I just left the bill on his side of the table and walked out. The same way I walked out of his office months ago. Except this time, I was dressed in success. Head to toe. I didn't look back. Because I didn't need to. The sound of his fork clinking against the empty plate behind me was louder than any door slam. That silence? That was the sound of a man realizing he wasn't just losing a deal. He was watching history move on without him. Outside the restaurant, the press was already buzzing. The event I was hosting that night? Sold out. Panelists included women who had once cried in bathroom stalls, now leading multi-million-dollar campaigns. One of them whispered to me before the show, "If it weren't for you, I'd still be stuck under men like him." I nodded, because I knew we weren't just climbing, we were pulling others up. That's the kind of success Daniel could never understand, because his model was built on control. Mine? On connection. And connection? That never goes out of business. At the panel, I told the story. Every jagged piece of it. Not with bitterness, but precision. I didn't name Daniel. I didn't need to. Everyone knew. I didn't share the petty. I shared the pattern. They call us emotional. But we are mathematical, I said. Every insult gets logged. Every dismissal gets noted. Every attempt to erase us becomes a data point, until one day we own the whole chart. The crowd erupted. Standing ovation. Not just for me. For every woman who'd ever been told she was lucky to even have a seat at the table. By now, clients had tripled. Investment offers flooded in. And I did something bold. I bought the building that housed my old firm's office. Not out of spite, out of strategy. They couldn't afford the new lease. They moved out quietly. I moved in loudly. Floor-to-ceiling windows. My name on the door. Tamara beside me. The same corner Daniel once locked me out of was now my conference room. With glass walls. So everyone could see. See what happens when the quiet girl keeps receipts. See what happens when the backup plan becomes the blueprint. Daniel's firm dissolved within months. An article came out. Ex-exec ousted after client exodus. I didn't comment. The story didn't need my words. It needed my silence. And that silence said, "You did this to yourself." One of his former assistants emailed me. Said she still had a copy of the email he sent about replacing me. I framed it. Not out of revenge. Out of reminder. Every time I doubted myself, I looked at it. She's too soft. Not a leader. Underneath it, I wrote, "You were wrong. I led a revolution." We celebrated our 3rd year in business with a gala. Same venue as Daniel's infamous promotion party. But this time, the champagne wasn't for him. It was for the intern's turn. The overlooked now overbooked. We played a slideshow of our journey, every milestone, every headline, every award. The final slide was simple. We were never too much. You were just too little. And when the lights dimmed, I stood at the center. Everyone raised their glasses. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I had something to prove. I had already proven it.